Hello, my name is Amanda. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about the tarot card, the Fool Tarot card, as well as how it has showed up for me as far as long-term traveling. And the tarot card, the Fool, is all about new beginnings. So it could be the beginning of anything, not a travel. It could be the new job or the new relationship or a conversation, even a difficult conversation. It's all about the energy that comes with the Fool and recognizing it when it comes for you. And yeah, we'll just jump right in. So after my near-death experience in 2017, I traveled a couple of years in my camper van and then abroad, visiting Mexico, Guatemala, Hawaii, Costa Rica, Ireland, Kenya, Tanzania, and I'm based in Bali right now. And that has just been part of my path. It's not everyone's path, but this is what my soul was calling. There were lessons that I needed to learn and still need to learn, taking this long-term, slow travel lifestyle. So the Fool card. This, if you know the tarot, you know that the image is of a unusual looking guy. I'm just gonna pull it up from my book. This is an older tarot deck. An unusual guy who has a dog ripping apart his clothes, and he's got a small sack with all his belongings. And some people think that that's a mask, where he's actually, his real face is looking up towards the higher perspective, and people can only see the mask. They can't really see him and his face. So the Fool is a card all about beginnings, about initiating a new cycle in our life of some sort. And when the Fool energy comes to us, it often comes in as a burst of inspiration. You're really inspired to do something, and often it doesn't make a lot of sense to the logical mind. It might include like an unpopular idea that people around you might judge or be critical of. So that's why kind of understanding the Fool energy and keeping it with you to support you is really good, because when other people don't support us, we can use all the support that we can get. So the animal who is biting his leg, he's not paying attention to. He keeps walking. And in my book, The Wisdom of the Tarot by Elizabeth Haisch, she talks about that dog. One representation is the dog represents the maliciously curious. The maliciously curious. So people who don't support you in your new beginning, but have no problem making comments or giving unsolicited advice. So that's kind of part of it. You know, petty tyrants are always part of a new beginning if it's got some kind of value. So to expect that is going to be part of the experience, and we can be our own petty tyrant. So even if you don't tell anybody about your new beginning or your idea, our own inner critic can kind of play out what other people might say and derail us. So, you know, setting off on your new beginning, it might be an idea to keep it to yourself until it's actually in motion, so that you can kind of keep that energy pure and unobstructed by other people's ideas, because this is between you and your intuition. This is between you and your higher self, and it's not between you and other people. The shadow aspect of the Fool card, it can be recklessness. It can be taking a risk without preparing the basics. So when you see people making reckless decisions, risky decisions, without keeping themselves safe, without making sure they have provisions, you know, that's going to be the shadow aspect of the Fool when it's taken too far. So what we want is kind of like that sweet spot in the middle where you've got the inspiration. You're probably taking a risk. Other people are not going to be impressed, but you're keeping yourself safe, and you've kind of like created a little bit of a plan, and then you're just going to go for it and trust the universe with the rest. So yeah, his face is facing up to the sky, representing a connection with the higher self, with the higher perspective. The world can really only see his persona. Other people can only see the mask. They only see what they see. He doesn't allow them to see really into what is developing. The bag he's got is quite small. All his possessions fit in the bag. This is very symbolic. This is not about selling all your stuff and living out of a suitcase, although some people do that as part of their learning. This is about detaching from the material things and making them the most important, or making them the priority, and making the guidance the priority, the spiritual contents. Like his bag is red, and red represents the spirit. So the contents of the bag are the spiritual values and virtues, and that comes first. That is what stays with him. He's got a simple walking stick. It's like a humble walking stick. It's not like a scepter or a sword. It's just a little bit of support on the way. And he is about to walk off of a cliff in the pictures. So he understands on some level, and this is more like the esoteric side of things, but he understands on some level that even if disaster comes, even if he dies and walks over a cliff, he still is. The part of him or her that is God, that is all awareness for eternity, that sometimes lives in the body and sometimes lives out of the body, both at the same time and everything. That's really what matters, and it can't be lost. If a physical death happens, that can't be lost. And so that gives him strength. And coming from a near-death experience, I started to incorporate that when I set out on my travels. Not that I was looking to die or take stupid risks, but that no matter what kind of disaster might accidentally happen heading into the unknown, that who I really am cannot be killed. It cannot be destroyed by a disaster. It's God awareness. It's my soul, and my soul is present right now in the body, but it's also going to be present after this body dies. So when you have the full energy and the inspiration of that new beginning, it comes with this fearlessness and this courage. The traveling, how this kind of relates to the traveling for me. So traveling long term, you meet all kinds of characters. All kinds of characters. Some are there to teach you a lesson. Some are there to inspire you. And sometimes I would meet older travelers, often older travelers. You know, I'm thinking of like older surfers in hostels. There was an older man in his 80s an American healthy man who was sitting on a street corner in San Cristobal, Mexico one time that I stopped to talk to. And in our conversation, he told me all kinds of incredible stories about different circumstances of his travels over his whole life. And one time I was on a work trade farm, and I met many people. One that comes to mind is a young couple who had been traveling for a while together. They lived in their van. They would work somewhere long enough to make enough money for the next flight. And usually at these places, food is included, and just hanging around the campfire and listening to them play their guitar and seeing the simplicity, the enjoyment of simplicity, the lack of worry. They just knew there was always going to be another place to live, another place to work. If you saw these people in the street, they look modern and healthy, and there's so many people that I would meet, but what they all would have in common was this mastery over trusting the great mystery. This mastery over not worrying and sweating the small stuff. This mastery over choosing to follow their intuition and their inner guidance around what they were going to do, what they were going to explore, using the courage that they were developing more and more over time to almost dance with the universe and the opportunities that they were embarking on. So many new beginnings all the time. So especially when I started out traveling, and I was sure about divinity, about God, that, you know, if I had survived my near-death experience and had that amazing out-of-body experience, that I was being guided and I was, you know, going to be intercepted with if need be. But what I didn't quite trust was myself. I didn't quite trust myself. You know, if I was going to get saved from my car falling over the cliff on the edge of the road, then yes, you know, divinity is in control and destiny is in control. But what if I make the wrong decision? I don't trust myself. So coming into contact over and over with these kind of individuals who, you know, I would say if they had a motto, it'd be like, now I'll do what's best for me. And I will trust myself. I will trust the best possible choice I'm making and not teeter-totter and hum and haw. I'm just going to go with it. They all did that. And so a little bit of that started to absorb in my own system. I thought, you know, if they can do it, I can do it. And when we're around people that have mastered something that we would love to master, we can allow some of that energy to kind of merge with us. So that Fool energy would come to me more and more. And disasters do happen. You know, when we are embarking on new beginnings, we could still be following and trusting our intuition, but disasters can still happen, and they will still happen. It's not because you've made the wrong choice or you've done something wrong. Following signs and synchronicities, and then a catastrophe goes down. That is sometimes part of it. And we can think we've been misled, or maybe we're just confused and we're disconnected. But what I have found, and kind of like looking back over some of those situations, those were things I needed to learn. They were vulnerable spots in my development. If I didn't learn that lesson then by that disaster, it would have come to me another way in the future. This is something that my soul needed me to learn and figure out each disaster that happened, so that when we kind of get further along the way, we are more protected because we have that knowledge and awareness of how to avoid those things. They've already happened once, we can see them coming, this sort of thing. So when you're on your spiritual journey, and especially when you're working with the Fool energy, if you are led some place and you find that it feels like you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe over and over, that could just be karmic lessons that need to get like sorted before you get to a place where you're in more of a responsibility of some sort. So that can be actually a good thing because you're just getting it out of the way once and for all. Another thing that I would notice about many of these travelers was, you know, beyond the kind of like the uniqueness and eccentricity and courage that they all kind of had their own version of, they didn't think there was anything unusual about them. You know, they were just so used to trusting, being themselves, expressing themselves, that they couldn't help it. They didn't think that there was anything different about their lifestyle. The Fool energy had merged with them so much that there was like this kind of mastery, where even if they tried to be, you know, maybe like their old self or their matrix reality self, somehow the Fool energy would like leak out somewhere and spill over. And yeah, if you have the chance to kind of be around a person, and again, it doesn't have to be a traveler, that's not what I'm trying to say in these videos, somebody who just constantly embarks on new beginnings with curiosity, with courage and curiosity, and it's not about the results, it's about the journey. It's not about things turning out exactly like how it's planned or envisioned, but it's like, I'm going because my soul is calling me to go. And I trust that whatever I find along the way and whoever shows up along the way is exactly who my soul is magnetically attracting to. I booked an Airbnb one time in Tanzania, and I got there and it was actually closed. The guy said, "Oh, my manager quit, it's closed." And I had looked on that site and there was really nothing else around there that was suitable. So he said, "Well, I know a lodge. My friend runs a lodge. It's not on Airbnb, but I'll drive you down there. Maybe he's got a room." So I was so tired. I was so hungry. And I just said, yes. We went down the road to this other lodge. And it was actually really nice. I checked in there. And shortly after arriving, I met another traveler who had just got this used car and was planning a 5-week trip around Tanzania the next month. And we got talking and we decided to embark on this 5-week journey together. It was incredible. We became friends. We talked about things that two strangers don't normally talk about. We, just little things of our lives. We learned about each other's cultures. We probably drove each other crazy. Or at least I know that I drove this person crazy sometimes. And by the end of this 5-week journey, we both left with a little bit of each other. A little bit of each other probably rubbed off, and we knew a little bit more about the world. And these are the kind of things that happen when, even if our plans go awry, like if I had stayed at that first Airbnb, I never would have met this person to go on this 5-week trip. So when plans change, when our plane is late, someone cancels on us, when our new beginning is really not going the way that we would like, this is often an opportunity. We might not know that until later, but as things would line up and then you've got your retrospect, it was for you. It was for you. I mean, I could tell stories all day about how this has been the case traveling. And putting yourself, like the Fool energy puts you in more randomness. You increase the chance of evolution when you throw yourself into randomness, whatever that means for you. Saying yes to something that you don't normally say yes to. Stepping into the unknown in something that you normally wouldn't up till now increases randomness. And fortune favors the brave. And I don't mean like a financial fortune. I mean in general, abundance in general of people and situations and opportunities that are very much aligned for you. So whatever your beginning is, if the Fool energy, which comes with the spring a lot, we have a little bit of access to a little extra Fool inspiration. As it comes for you, don't pass it by. When inspiration comes, we don't know when it's going to come next if we say no. So even if you don't have it all figured out, as long as you're keeping yourself safe and you've got your provisions, take the first step, because the universe is is designed to want to meet the people that are doing that in ways that are surprising, but probably better than we had planned. I think that's all. If you have felt and experienced the Fool energy and you would like to share about that, please pop it in the comments. If you know anything else about the Fool card, there's so much. Please drop that in the comments and share that with us as well. And thank you for liking and commenting, and journey well.